Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Rebecca or Reba, whatever you like. This is my book channel. I wanted to make a birthday vlog video. One, because I enjoy making the vlogs. I do like compiling little snippets, little vignettes from my week. And two, I kind of want to create a little time capsule for myself. Just a little like snippet of like what my week looks like. At the moment, the idea is to do these every year. I like the idea of being able to look back on these like birthday vlogs and see, what my life looked like and how it's changed or how it's, stayed the same. But I hope as a viewer you enjoyed it and liked taking a little peek into my week. It was full of work and some reading and some lovely little moments. I only had one breakdown this week, so that's good. But all in all, it was a good week, and I had a great birthday. I had a nice, easy day at work, and my coworkers were really sweet and brought me treats, and Jaden took me out to dinner. At night, we went to this
Japanese steakhouse. It was really good. It was fantastic. I'd been once before and fell in love with the potatoes. So primarily I was there for the potatoes, and they were excellent. It was super fun. It's a very bougie, fancy place, so I felt very fancy. And then Saturday, I got to spend time with some friends, and we went to this awesome place called Good Hot. It's in the East Bay, in a city called Richmond, here in the Bay Area, and this group leases some land on the bay, on the waterfront, and they built these gorgeous, awesome saunas, and you can just rent them out and spend like an hour and a half going in the sauna and then doing plunges in the cold water and then coming back to the sauna. And it's just a really relaxed, lovely environment, and I had so much fun. So yeah, it was a great week, and I rounded it off with treating myself at a bookstore, and so I do want to go over like a little book haul at the end of this video. But part of what I want to do for these birthday vlogs, and I'm not sure if I'll continue this, but I'll try it this year and see. But I kind of want to like do a check-in with myself, like what I've been watching and reading and listening to lately, just to like again add to the time capsule and give a little context of like where my head was at this time this year. And so yeah, as far as listening, I've been listening to several podcasts of late. I started listening to a Slate podcast called ICYMI, and I've really been enjoying it. I feel like it's a great podcast for me because it basically does downloads twice a week on like big things that are happening on the internet. I don't have the capacity nor the time to like keep up on internet culture or like scandals, but I like to know. I like to be in the know, and so the whole premise of the podcast is, in case you missed it, this is what happened on the internet this week or recently. And it's been really enjoyable, light listening, low stakes, like drama, in terms of like it's not affecting me, or it's just fun to know. So I've been enjoying that one a lot. I feel like the host is delightful and has great takes. So that one's really great for anyone who wants to be in the know but needs it distilled for them in like a podcast format. So love that. I also just finished listening to another podcast that I enjoyed called Let's Make a Sci-Fi. And I think it's produced by the CBC. It's just this group of 3 comedians that attempt to write a pilot for a sci-fi TV series. And they've never written serious sci-fi or serious television before. And they document their experience of, coming up with the idea and figuring out the world building and the tropes and how sci-fi as a genre works. And then at the end of the season, the final episodes, they get a bunch of actors together to do a table reading of the pilot episode they end up writing. It's really fascinating. It was a little goofy and whatnot, but overall but it was really fun to see them pick apart the genre and talk about what works in TV and what doesn't. I just thought it was an interesting concept as a whole and very enjoyable to listen to. So I liked that. For music, I haven't discovered a ton of new music. I've been doing a lot of just listening to familiar artists. I have been listening to Kilo Kish's new album, American Girl, and I've been loving that. It's been really fun to listen to while I'm working and driving around this week. It's fun, upbeat, dancey pop, but she's just, I don't know, she's really innovative in pop and just does really interesting, fun things. I've always loved her music, and I think this album is really, really well done. I'm having fun listening to it. And I would just recommend it if you're looking for a good bop. It's a great album. In terms of what I've been watching, we did get on the White Lotus train, and I do not regret it. It was so fun. We watched both the first and second season back to back, and had a great time watching it. I understand the hype. It's so much fun. I am not a person that's gonna watch things right as they come out. I don't watch TV or movies as they're first becoming popular. So I waited to watch The White Lotus until the second season, and people were still hyped about it. I was okay, it has to be good, right? It has to be good if people are still stoked on it. Yeah, it did not disappoint. Super fun. We watched Spirited Away last night, which was really fun, and I hadn't seen it since I was a kid and did not remember the storyline at all. And it was really fun and so beautiful. Miyazaki's films are just so beautiful. I don't know, we were in the mood for something familiar, but aesthetic, I guess, last night. So Spirited Away it was. And then, of course, with reading, this week I started reading Milkman by Anna Burns, and I'm really enjoying it. Milkman has been on my TBR list for a while now. At the end of last year, I pushed it up to prioritize it because Julie of Linen Librarian spoke so highly of it and talked about how much she loved it in her best books of the year. And so that kind of solidified, I really need to read this. Everything she said about it made me even more excited to read it. And then Nadia from Nads Loves to Read also spoke highly of the book. One of her vlogs at the beginning of the year, she read it, and everything she said about it made me want to read it even more. And she told me that because I liked Edna O'Brien, I'd likely enjoy it. And that made me extra excited. So I started reading it this week, and I'm really loving it. It is fulfilling some of the expectations I had for it. It has such distinct, interesting language and voice. You hear the kind of Irish speech patterns and language, and the character is so distinct. It's humorous, but poignant and dark, and doesn't shy away from some real events and images and experiences that just people had during the Troubles in Ireland. But I also like how it's written ambiguously and it's almost otherworldly or dystopic in the names of things, and it's at once specific to Northern Ireland and yet ambiguous enough that it can just feel like a metaphorical environment with like kind of a totalitarian style government. I do think it takes a lot of concentration to read. It has the prose is a bit meandering or stream of consciousness, and it kind of constantly runs tangents to give context to situations that are happening in the plot. I enjoy that because I think my way of telling stories and like the way I speak feels like that's the only way to tell a story, is to like jump into tangents to give context, and like, I don't know, that's like how I think. And so that type of writing style really works for me. It may not work for everyone, but if you are interested in the time period, like distinct and interesting language, and are up for a bit of a challenge, it's superb. It's a great novel. I'm not done with it yet, but I'm sure like I'll still have the same things to say when I'm done with it. I don't know. I just feel like I really trust the author so far in this book, so I'm excited to finish it, but I'm loving the experience of reading it. All right, let's wrap this up by going over some books I picked up at the bookstore. I am very lucky, and in my family, my parents give their adult children cold hard cash for Christmas, and I then get to use it on whatever I like. And so I used some money from my parents' Christmas gift to me, and it felt great to buy books and not have it come from my pocket. So thanks, Mom and Dad. Really appreciate it. Here's my hefty stack that I picked up. I'm just gonna go through them smallest book to biggest book, because that is how I stacked them. Starting out, I got Bloodchild by Octavia Butler. We all know that I love Octavia Butler, and so far have only read her Parable series. This is a short story collection, and I also think there are some essays at the end. It's like a compilation. I bought this in anticipation of a project that I want to do here on the channel. But Octavia Butler is great. She's one of our best American sci-fi writers, and she's brilliant. So read her. Next, I bought White Teeth by Zadie Smith. Zadie Smith has been on my list of authors I want to read for some time now. I'm finally going to read her this year because she was so highly reviewed by Renee of So I Read This Book. Renee said this was like her absolute favorite of last year. So I wasn't sure exactly where to start with Zadie Smith, but on Renee's recommendation, I'm going to start with White Teeth. I know it has to do with relationships, friendships, families, and I've heard only good things about Zadie Smith's writing, so I'm really looking forward to this one. It sounds like good characters, plot, and writing. Then I picked up Checkout 19 by Claire Louise Bennett. I saw this come up on a lot of lists last year for one of the best books of 2022, and it caught my attention. And then what solidified me wanting to read it early was Katie James's review of this book. She put it in her top books of 2022, and everything she said about it, being about writing and art and being an artist, made me really want to read it. Then I picked up The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. My sister picked this one out for our first book club pick of the year for our sister's book club, and I loved Hamnet last year by Maggie O'Farrell. I really enjoyed that reading experience, and so I am intrigued and interested in reading The Marriage Portrait. Finally, I got The Rabbit Hutch by Tess Gunty. Mostly I just fell in love with this cover when I saw it coming up on book lists last year. The premise also sounded interesting, which Raven Leilani, who wrote Luster, which I absolutely loved, gave it a good review, or wrote a blurb for it. She said, "In The Rabbit Hutch, Gunty writes with a keen, sensitive eye about all manner of intimacies, the kind we build with other people and the kind we cultivate around ourselves and our tenuous private aspirations." So I'm excited for that. I think I got a very good haul. I'm very excited about all these selections. I'm sure I'll be able to talk about them in some way on my channel. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for indulging me on my birthday week. Lastly, I just want to say that I did put a link to my Storygraph, Goodreads, and an Instagram account I created for Reba Reads. Those are all linked in my bio, so if you want to follow me on additional platforms, they're there. Come find me, and that's it, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.